another bowl team, a team that played for their conference championship a year ago and are picked to win their division again this year. They've done a great job, Coach Lewis and his staff, at developing their team, and got good players on both sides of the ball. Obviously, I'm a defensive guy, so I look at their offense first, and they're doing a great job. They lost a quarterback last year. He's with somebody in the NFL now, but they got great skill. We feel like they've got a couple of receivers. They're NFL quality receivers, excellent backs. They got great strength, run behind their pads well. They got one of them's 250. They've got good depth at their skill, good tight ends, and have a little familiarity. It's a Syracuse style of offense. Coach Lewis used to be at Syracuse, and so they're running some of the same things, and they've certainly evolved since his time there a few years ago. They're going to tempo you philosophically. That's a big part of who they are, and to make you defend every patch of grass defensively on their defense. Probably familiar with. They have a new coordinator, and they're employing the Iowa State style of defense, so everybody's probably a little bit familiar with what that looks like. Doing a good job. Played a really good-looking Washington team. Just evaluating the film, Washington on both sides of the ball looked long and athletic, and really did a nice job. Had some timely turnovers where the game that was a good back-and-forth battle got away from them based on those turnovers. I look at the Kent State team a year ago. They opened up at Texas A&M, the same A&M team that a lot of people have in their top 5, top 10 for sure this year, that beat Alabama last year, and it's 10-3. With a few minutes to go in the third quarter in College Station a year ago. So they're gonna fight you with everything they got. One thing I've watching the tape, I love how hard they play and compete, regardless of the score. Man, they play incredibly hard. Chase the ball on defense, and on offense, man, they're going to keep coming at you and throwing haymakers. So got a lot of respect for how they play. Obviously, we know they're staying in Tulsa this week to try to save them from I look at it from how hard it is on the body and on those players, getting on and off of planes, and that takes several hours to get an operation like that going. So smart by them to make a pit stop here and practicing in Tulsa, and will come over later in the week. So with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Brent, you were able to play 10 true freshmen on Saturday. What's it like just to see those young players get their first taste of college football? I wanted to ask you about Javante Barnes and just what you see out of him. And is this a sign to incoming freshmen that if you prove yourself, you can get into games early?
Yeah, no, it was great to watch those guys. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them came at mid-year. So they had a spring ball under their belt, and that's a tremendous advantage, obviously. But it's hard to keep guys, for 5 years. This is a developmental game, and we want to be a developmental program. And there's some guys that aren't quite there, but the ones that had an opportunity to get in the game, that was a lot of fun to watch them play and compete, and expect them to continue to get better. Javante, you saw how explosive he was. The moment he touched the ball, it just looked different, probably for everybody. And as he showed in the spring, he's got great maturity to him. The game isn't too hard for him. And he was a little bit banged up with a hamstring in the early part of camp, so that didn't help him. But as we know, he's got great instincts. He's a big guy. Again, same thing, plays behind his pads very well. Really explosive, and got a great demeanor about him too, from a freshman standpoint. Very mature, but I feel like there's a lot of good, mature kids in this excuse me, in this freshman class, and that obviously gives them a leg up in regards to contributing. They can just manage everything, being away from home for the first time, new schemes, new languages, the demands of school, practice, social life, all of those things. It's not an easy thing to manage, whether you're old or young. And we've got a good group of young guys that have a propensity to do exactly that.
Ryan Avery?
Yeah, Brent, I want to take you back a little bit with this one. Obviously, tempo being such a big talking point this week with y'all and Kent State. What was it like 20 years ago when Kevin Wilson got here and brought that tempo? You're talking about the defensive side, both in preparing your guys for teams you might face that run that tempo, and also just managing the game.
Yeah, 20 years ago, tempo was a thing, but people had a fastball package. So they might run like 3 plays, and then that's all you did. And so you had to have a fastball package. It might be 3 straight plays as fast as they can go, but if you smashed them, then they got away from it. And obviously, the new thing with that was it was as constant as they wanted it. They did it from under the center a lot too, and then they would do multiple personnel groupings with the same, or multiple sets with the same personnel grouping. So, one, it couldn't give you an opportunity to sub, and 2, you got 12 personnel, 1 back and 2 tight ends and 2 receivers. Normally you get 12 sets, so you do just a few things. But what they would do would get into a 4 wide, like a 4 wide receiver look, with, I can't remember, Gresham on one side, and I don't know if it's Brody or whoever else, on the other, and or 11 sets with 12 and things of that nature. So really, they had a lot of depth to what they did. And then I remember lots of conversations like, hey, man, you could go tempo, and like you could go 4 verticals. And like, whoa, can you do that? What about protection? And I remember those conversations well. And but everybody does it now. So it's evolved. But I like those old days. We literally talked about fastball today. We were bringing up different teams and their flavors of what they would do. They'd put the formation into the boundary, run the quick toss or something like that. Or, it was like a really tough thing, back in the day. And things have gotten a little more intricate and complicated now more than it was then. So, but it's good, To me, again, talking about the tempo, and I started yesterday's team meeting, like, Dylan Gabriel has never made a tackle and will never make a tackle for us. And Marvin Mims isn't going to go cover, the wide receiver for us and, stay on top of a go ball. And, Braden Willis is never going to sack anyone for us. The offense doesn't have anything to do with the defense and vice versa. That's got to be our mindset first and foremost. Our job's to stop people. The way to get off the field is you go 3 and out. You be more precise and you be more exact in what you're doing and do an effective job playing tough and physical and great communication and great fundamentals, and you get off the field. And that's my expectation, that we get to a point where we should have a goal and a vision for leading the country in 3 and outs. And that's where you get 11 guys playing together. And we got a long ways to go to do that. And but I was really pleased with a lot of the things from Saturday, but I didn't like our efficiency at times. There's a couple of drives that we weren't as efficient as collectively as 11 guys need to be to get off the field and make layups and things of that nature. So. You didn't ask me about defense, but that we did open up yesterday's meeting talking about exactly that. You don't need to worry about what's going on offense. Your job's to stop people, period. And, stop making excuses. And not that they were, but I want to make sure that narrative doesn't get inside of our walls. I think it's important that, you have a tough-mindedness about you. You know what? A lot of bad stuff's going to happen. Your job's to respond. Excuse me.
Brent, along those lines, I know it's just one game of the season, but whether it's the tempo of the offense or the way you guys defended the run, do you feel like you found some things to build on from that game in terms of creating an identity on both sides of the ball, or do you feel like that's something that kind of happens throughout the year?
I mean, I think, it was a start for just for our team for this season, for 128, for our defense, for our offense, for our kicking game. And we knew that going in, that regardless of what happens, this is going to be a start. This is, whether it's a depth chart or it's a result, this is where we're at, and this is what we got to do moving forward. And the expectation is that there's, again, a focus of daily improvement, recognize the good, focus on what wasn't good and how it needs to improve and how we could be better, and whether, again, it's all the things that lead to a bad play or a bad series, to happen. So penalties is one, right, and positioning is another. But there's a ton that was really good. I thought we were aggressive. I thought our guys played with confidence and sureness, and that comes from preparation. There's a level of anticipation because of a lot of preparation that goes into it. And so I don't think that our guys were caught off guard with anything that they saw. And so that was pleasing. And again, I like the physicalness of the defense as a whole. Thought it was good. And I thought our positioning for the most part was really good. I didn't like they had two plays of, I think, maybe 24 and 28 yards, give or take. And we won the explosive play battle. Our offense had 8 plays of 20-plus yards, and defense gave up 2. And that's and you win that, and you win the turnover margin, you're going to win probably 99% of your games. And but there's plenty to correct and improve on. I think our guys showed that they've trained incredibly hard. We had very few issues when it came to cramping and fatigue. I thought our guys played really strong for the duration of the game. We played, an entire 3 deep on defense in particular. And we got to play a few more guys on offense as well as we develop our team. That's how you develop, is you got to play. And I want morale to be at an all-time high. And if guys are putting in the work every day, and there's a lot that goes into that, it's a very challenging daily schedule for everybody involved in our program, whether you're a walk-on, a red shirt, or a 6-year senior. It's a very challenging day-to-day grind for 6 months. And so the best reward you can give guys are play guys that deserve to play, and that's how we're going to develop our team foundationally over the long haul. And I don't want it to be where the ones are in there, with 3 minutes to go and we're up by 28, because we don't want to give something up. Guys need to play and develop. And, transfer portal's an issue. Lose guys. And we need to develop depth. Competition brings out the best in everybody. So my job is to make sure the coaches aren't afraid of what a guy may not do, what he doesn't know. There's plenty of mistakes by guys that are playing and starting, so some of our best guys maybe didn't play their best. And so you can't have it, both ways. You're worried about a guy that is in a 2 deep and he doesn't hardly play, but the starter's out there not playing great. So, and you're still winning by 30-some points. So we got to play more guys if they deserve to play, and so on both sides of the ball. But I was really, I was pleased with the guys that played on defense. Again, we played a bunch of guys, and we're developing, again, a team. But most of all, as you go throughout the season, through the ups and the downs, the highs and lows, the success and the failure, you'll develop an identity through all that.
It's been Barry on the right side.
Yeah, Brent, the presidents voted in a 12-team playoff last week. Not sure when it's going to start yet, but what are your thoughts on the expansion of the playoff? Is it good for OU? Is it good for the Big 12? Is it good eventually for the SEC?
I'm going to go back just how I answered the scheduling. Good. That's great. Good. All right. And nobody's asking me what I think. And so I'm very sincere when I say this, and I say it with all due respect. I could care less. I really could care less. I don't even know what that means, but I do know it doesn't have anything to do with today's practice. It has nothing to do with Kent State. And I don't really know what it means in the big picture other than more teams are getting in. And I'm sure there's a narrative that, well, that means there's going to be more teams when that happens. Just say it happens in, say, 3 years, and we're in the SEC. Well, more teams in the SEC will be able to get in. I guess that's what they might say, but I really don't know. And like I said, I don't really have an opinion on it whatsoever. I love college football. I'm a loyalist at heart. I love the bowl system. I just love that reward. There's an innocence about college football. I don't want it to be professionalized, whatever that means, and commercialized, professionalized. There's some things going on in NIL. I think there's a lot of really good things with NIL, and there's always a bad side of it too. But I try to look at the good, not the bad. If it goes to playoffs, I always thought that the NCAA basketball tournament was just like, who doesn't love that? That's cool. And who do we pull for? Loyola Chicago, right? Or, St. Bonaventure, somebody like that, don't you? Yes. Y'all human, right? All right. Pull for the underdog. So maybe it gives, again, a chance for people. I think that's good for the game. I don't like having all the same teams in it all the time either, So does it give somebody else an opportunity again? Maybe. I don't know what that looks like. I honestly don't. And like I said, I've got my hands on this program, and I'm just literally trying to be great today at this practice.
And that's how Gary.
You were mentioning when Brian asked about when Kevin was here in the mid to late 2000s, that version of that offense. I recall that offensive line as not just being one of the strongest from that era, but the fittest, which was important because of the way that was run. I want to ask how Schmitty, in that regard, has affected this group of offensive linemen, and whether it's just as important now than it was then.
No question. It leads to, again, we talk about it all the time, to have competitive stamina, to play the hardest, the longest, the toughest. And as much as anything, Schmitty's had a tremendous effect, and I think the number one place is the mindset. And so all that goes into that through every day, push for excellence, and the work that they put in, and the confidence that you gain from that, even if sometimes it's the placebo effect. Good. However you get it done. But I think he's had tremendous influence on all of our team, our entire team, but the bigs in particular. They feel more equipped and empowered than they ever have.
Okay, over here, Bob Crispillo.
Yeah, Brent, first, any update on Daniel Parker?
Expect him back here this week.
And
Yeah, he had the sniffles last week.
There were a couple of kickoff returns from Billy Bowman, where he's a few yards in the end zone, took it out anyway. Is that sort of the aggressive mindset you're going to have on special teams too?
I mean, we would like to have that. I mean, that's part of our philosophy. And Billy's a very dynamic football player, and he had a chance to score for sure on one. If we get one guy to do something a little bit better. And so Billy is, again, very dynamic, and we got a lot of really good dynamic skill guys. So, but overall that aligns, with who we want to be, and an opportunity to score, create field position, create a big play, create momentum. You can do that in all three phases without question.
James.
Brent, you had a little adversity in the offensive line with Wanya out, and you had to move a tackle and things like that. You also had a hot day, and so you played some guys early. How did you feel like that group played as a whole after, it's all said and done, and you had to go through all those things in that first game? Well,
again, I think you look at the score and the game control at the end of the day, I think is important. And getting up 21-0, it happened in like 62 seconds, I think is a great thing. Some people, oh man, you worry about scoring so fast? No. You know what it does? It puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the opponent, whether you got to go out there and play again or not. You know how to, again, get off the field, go 3 and out, play better, play with better fundamentals and technique and, all those things. So they were solid, as a group solid, and we got to finish better. Just if you said, what's the one area or where do you need to improve it? We got to finish plays better. From snap to whistle, with a tougher mindset, and be a little cleaner in some areas and protection and in the run game both. But finishing guys off, I think there's more to be had. Whether you give the quarterback a little more time and keep him cleaner, or again, you're finishing guys off on that second and that third level where you give an opportunity for to create more big plays.
Mm-hmm. Coach, I was going to ask about Parker, but two other guys unavailable to play the other day were Sawchuk, the young running back, and of course Wanye.
Sawchuk was available. We just, he didn't suit up, but he was fine. Everything's great with him. Yeah.
Okay.
And Wanye, we're still trying to work through an off-field issue and expect him back sooner rather than later.
Well, on Wanye, if or when that gets resolved, is your philosophy, will he come back and be immediately competitive to get into that lineup and play, or do you have a philosophy that says, nah, you're going to have to wait a while and maybe get a break to get back in there?
Yeah, I expect him to get right back in there based on what the issue is, and he's been practicing every day, so he'll jump right back in there like riding a bike. So I think you treat each individual case like it needs to be treated.
Far left side, John Hoover.
Yeah, Brent, coaches have told us for years that you make your biggest improvement, typically speaking, from week 1 to week 2. Can you kind of describe the process of how that works, why that works, why you expect maybe improvements in week 2? And you mentioned a couple of areas. Are there any others?
I've only been a head coach for 1 game, so I don't have any experience about that improvement from 1 to 2 as a football team. But I mean, I think there's first game anxiousness, jitters, if you will. I think that you're finding out what guys can do when the lights are bright, game 1, and so you make some adjustments. But you get into the flow of a season. Even your week leading up to the first game is slightly different than once you get into the season itself. And so you make a small modifications, but at the end of the day, getting into a normal season routine, sometimes it takes a little bit of adjustment, and for the players more than anything, but the coaches too, Sometimes when you have less time, that's a good thing as a coach, so you don't overthink things. And so when you get into the season itself, you're limited on the amount of time, that you have. And again, the out of season, you have unlimited time with the players, and unlimited time to draw whatever up for the next day's practice and whatnot. So everything's just a little bit more condensed and a little bit more intentional. And again, we hope to see that, rapid improvement, week to week. But I think the challenge is learning the new DNA of the opponent. It is about Oklahoma. When you play, that's what we talk about. The man in the mirror, don't beat Oklahoma. We had some penalties and things of that nature. We got to clean a lot of little stuff up for us to, to make the kind of improvement that we need to make. We take points off the board with a penalty on 3rd down. We're extending drives on a 4th down. Got a great stop. Potentially sitting in front of us, and we give up a field goal on a 4th down stop with a holding penalty, on a guy that you didn't need to hold, and so again there's a turnaround. If they had a field goal on the drive, we had the holding penalty, and who knows, at worst case it was a field goal, so a 6-point swing right there with things that we can control. So. The cleanliness of how you play, I think that our intention and hope is that we get better that way. But just, I think, as much as anything, getting in the routine, getting comfortable with that. Mm-hmm.
Over here with Brandon Drawn.
Brent, you're a linebacker guy. Can you talk about Danny Stutzman and just, I guess, his growth from where he is, where he was when you got here till now, and I guess he's one of the leaders on the defense now for you, and just his mental maturity, and also our Mason Thomas. He's a different type of edge rusher for you guys, a lot more lighter. Can you talk about where he is now from when he got to Oklahoma to obviously after the first game?
Yeah, Danny has had tremendous growth. I think he's matured as much as I've seen anything. He and his dad and I were talking after the game, and we talked about a conversation that Danny and I had sometime in February, and it was just he and I in the hallway somewhere, and I asked him, "Are you ever going to watch tape? You ever going to come ask for a playbook? You want to be a good player?" So we had one of those. He was like, "Whoa, where's this guy coming from?" We had one of those talks, and because I know Danny's a guy that he's got tremendous instincts. He's a really good football player, but in order to tap into your potential and really realize that potential, man, there's a lot of work that goes on beyond what's required. And to me, he was a guy that had relied on instincts and toughness and the love to play pretty good. And so a challenge to becoming a leader and being taking control of your career. You got a small window. The hourglass is flipped all the way over, and you're on the clock. And you can't get back these days. And so I know, new staff, new system, new language. When are you going to learn it? And you're going to try to be a person of excellence, or just, try to get by on talent. So to me, he's that very open and honest, raw conversation where we challenged him, I think really helped him from that time on. Or showing up to, he showed up one of our first meetings, and he don't have anything to write with, So I'm saying, you're like that, you're that good. You can just remember everything, and he's in a long line of guys that didn't show up with something to write, so it's not just him. And so we got that fixed. And then again, I've just seen this more than incremental improvement with him, and the more success he's had, and we've played him at multiple positions because he is a guy that, locates the ball well, just has a knack for finding the football. But he's really taken off. Really super proud of him. He's strong. He's confident. He's got good health, and he's just scratching the surface on what he can be. Where I like he's at is that he remembers the bad plays, and you want to praise him, and he immediately brings up the plays that he needed to do better on. And that's what the good ones are never satisfied. And he graded out in the mid-80s and 9 tackles, 2 PBUs in a hurry, first start ever. That's pretty solid. And but he was still hungry and edgy about the things he didn't do well, and I like that, because that's where I am too. But I don't want to not recognize the work that he's put in. And then R. Mason Thomas, again, he literally turned 18, 10 days ago, and so he's a broad-shouldered, high-hipped, long-arm guy that has got a tremendous frame. He can fly. He's incredibly mature beyond his years. Just got a great focus to him, but he comes from a winning program, back-to-back state champions at Cardinal Gibbons there in Fort Lauderdale, and he knows how to win. He expects to win. He's got a lot of tremendous habits from a maturity standpoint, his work habits, his study habits, his social circle is tight. He doesn't get in all the riffraff like a lot of young guys that get away from home for the first time. So the game's easy for him. He plays very fast. He's got tremendous strength and power and explosiveness, even though he's a 230 guy. And he's got a frame. He'll be a 260 guy, before it's all said and done. And he's gonna be hell on wheels. That's what I know. He's got a great future.
We'll go second row, Andy Staples. Yeah, Brent, when you were a coordinator and trying to figure out what you were going to be as a head coach, how did you decide what your offensive philosophy was?
I really didn't spend a whole lot of time thinking about what I was going to be like as a head coach, because I didn't really spend any time doing that. I'll be just very frank and honest. To me, I've preached this to myself and to my players. Always keep your head down and just work, just grind. And if you do that, you don't have time for any other distractions. And so I wasn't that guy trying to put together a portfolio or make connections or go to a seminar on how to become a head coach. I just didn't. I just wanted to be good at what I was doing, and just didn't feel like, I don't know, I just didn't. So as far as, who's hard to stop? What's, how can you, what's the product look like that's going to attract, great recruits, skill guys, quarterback, great running backs, offensive linemen that got to learn how to pass pro. And and then an aggressive philosophy that aligns with mine. So those are some things, and things that, again, intricately, schematically, that are difficult to defend. There's a lot of different flavors. It's all ice cream, right? All offense, it's all offense, right? It's all ice cream, but there's different flavors of it, right? You got Neapolitan, you got, Rocky Road, you got vanilla, chocolate, and so Jeff's one of those. I don't know what he is, but he's again a great person too, and I think that was important too. You find the right fit for you, and didn't have to be an Oklahoma guy, but Jeff's incredibly mature, got a great presence to him, super humble but confident, aggressive, very articulate and detailed in everything that he does. A great person. And just a tremendous fit. He's college roommates and teammates with some of our guys, and so it was a great fit for me, and both in scheme and in who he is as a husband and a father.
You were talking a little bit ago about telling the defense that because your offense goes fast, can't be an excuse for giving up points. How did you guys at Clemson? You guys were kind of the first to really be dominant on defense while you were also going that fast. How did you convince those players that you could do that?
Same way, don't let the excuses, more sacrifice, less excuses, that kind of a mindset. And just basically what I said to y'all today and what I said to them, yesterday. And nobody's making excuses in our room, but I just wanted to make sure there was no narrative, no chit chat going on, and then the next thing you know, it's now you're doing this, and we're not going to do that. And for us to again continue to grow and develop, man, we control the environment. That's got to be our mindset, and so we got to get our guys to play cohesively together. And again, I always talk about giving the ball back to the offense as fast as possible. You want to overwhelm somebody and dominate somebody. Keep giving that offense the ball back as fast as you can. And so we don't want to, and I know there's some different metrics that are out there, and how many drives you defend, and points per play and all that, and that stuff does matter. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I'm looking at game control, and I love not letting somebody get into a rhythm, and I want to stop everything. And that's the mindset. But I'm also very conscious of the players I have and what they're good at and what they're not very good at. And so I got a great, a platform to see that every single day. And then we're trying to develop our team so that we're not limited, and we try to attack weaknesses every day and help guys get better. But we have a very intimate understanding of who we are, what we want to be, and how do we get them where we want them to go. And so, you don't put a square peg through a round circle. If a guy, defensive end is, he can't set the edge, and they're running the counter trey with 600 pounds coming around there, then you put him out there on third down. Don't put him out there on 1st and 10. If a corner is not very good at press technique, then don't play him in press. How many more times you got to get annihilated for you to know this guy can't do it, And so I think that, that's why we have a lot to what we do. And if anybody looked at us, we do have a variety of things, but you itch where it scratches. And again, this is year one. All right, we weren't like that in year one at Clemson. We improved from whatever they were the year before I got there, and we made good improvement year one. From the beginning of the year to the end, I was miserable that first half of the year because we weren't where I wanted us to be, and we slowly, really about mid-year, started getting better. And then in 13, we got better. First game at Clemson, played Auburn, beat them. Last game of that first year, beat LSU. First game the next year in 13, beat Georgia. The last game that year in the Orange Bowl, beat Ohio State. Okay, and then in 14, we led the country in 13, 14 categories. And but it was it's development. That was a group of guys, a freshman and sophomore that first year that, bought in and worked and grinded it up and put the work in. And again, we developed a philosophy on how we're going to practice. We got to practice more physical, you know, and you gotta put more time in, you know. Some of my frustration, our commitment wasn't where it needed to be early on in that first year. And, you know, where's everybody at? Nobody's showing up and watching, like chasing their dreams. You can't chase it by just showing up, you know, with what's required. You gotta go above and beyond. It takes a different level of commitment, you know. And some guys believe that you can just get better by showing up every day, or you could be great by just showing up, you know. It's like the coach just showing up to game day. You know, every week I'm just going to show up on game day and I'm going to get better. That isn't how it works. So, again, a lot of it's just developing the mindset and the level of commitment and guys, you know, creating an environment where guys have a sense of desperation to do their job and to do it well. And but also not overcomplicate things. You're teaching them the game of football. I think the better they understand football, not just, you know, memorizing their assignment, like understand the game, not just the what, but the why, the when, the how, and the guys around them. It really does. And that's what I was really pleased. We've been working really hard to try to develop that awareness with our guys. And I'm talking about defense here. You know, so when I say our guys, I'm talking about the guys on defense. That's why the reason you got to track that inside hip, because you got to, you know, with spoke safety sitting outside of you, or, man, you got to get on that outside hip and turn it all back in, because you're the flat defender and there's nobody outside of you. And so, you know, but if you don't, you know, and they need to see it over and over and over and over and over. So we've worked really hard, very diligently at trying to do that, and I've seen tremendous improvement from where we started in the spring to where we're at now. And again, the hope and the expectation is we continue to, you know, have that exponential growth. But like I said, game one was a starting point, and this is season one, and so nobody gets nobody wants it all to happen as fast as you know, I want it to. But I got to do a good job of having perspective and continue to be a good leader for these guys, along with the rest of the staff, you know, to continue to develop, again, a culture and what that looks like. And it doesn't just happen overnight, and it doesn't even happen in just several months. That's something that, you know, it takes whatever amount of time it is. But our guys, you know, I think having success lends credibility to things that we've asked them to do, and I think that's important too, that they can see the growth themselves, the improvement themselves. That creates more buy-in, and then you know, moving forward, you continue to recruit to that. Guys that if I'm going to recruit something, I'm recruiting guys that are blue collar. And we got a good group right now, and that's the focus of, you know, our recruiting department is, you know, I want to find guys that love to play. They're always at the locker room. You know, they're gym rats, guys that have humility. They have a toughness about them. They're a great teammate. They're willing to make sacrifice. You know, very selfless. You know, guys. I want to find them, and you don't always find that on a highlight tape. So dig a little deeper. You know, ask the right questions, and keep going back and you know, look in the closet under the you know, under the mattress, you know, and to find the right guys that love it.
Let's get time for a few more, Coach.
Are you asking me?
Are you giving time?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Mason Young.
Yeah, Brent, wanted to ask you about the captain selections. Where did the idea to have different guys each week originate? Have you seen anyone else?
Well, I think that you know, as you look at the season's long, and I don't want anybody to get comfortable. So this is a way to promote the opportunity to lead for the week and lead for the season. And at the end of the regular season, we'll name permanent captains, and the players will vote on that. And so this is an opportunity to develop leadership on your team. It's an honor to be, you know, a game captain, and so they're out in front every day in front of the team, and so they got to put a little work into being a leader. And again, I'm trying to develop leadership on this team, and the best way to do that is you got to give them work. You got to give them a task. You got to put them in a leadership position. That's how you get leadership in your team and create buy-in. And so that's what that is. And instead of guys getting comfortable, next thing you know, a month into the season, they're not great leadership. they're not what you want, but now they're the permanent captain for the year. And I don't want that. I don't want that comfort. I want to develop more leadership in our locker room, and then promote guys for a body of work at the end of the year. The teammates will see exactly who's who and what's what.
That at the end of the year, is it permanent captains for next season, or is it more of a celebratory thing of the accomplishment?
It's for championship phase.
Right side, Eli Letterman.
Tyler Guyton, what struck you about him and his growth since he's gotten here? And even when you do maybe have all 5 of those starters available, what kind of role could you see him playing?
Yeah, he's going to play a big role. Hopefully he's fighting every day to become a starter. So that's what my expectation is. But he's had a great attitude, first of all, very hungry and incredibly humble, great worker. He's created this opportunity for himself by his work, his body of work every day. That's one of the things I love about him. He's low maintenance, and he wants to be a great player.
And in terms of his versatility, can you see him anywhere but those 2 tackle spots?
I mean, he's powerful. He's super long. He's 6'7", and he's lean, but he can really bend and move his feet. He could play a lot of positions for you. But I think we're really strong inside. We feel we've got 5 good, strong guys inside, and 4 tackles outside when we got everybody. And but love his attitude, and he's gotten made incredible improvement in a very short window. Again, it's not like he's been going to camps his whole life as an offensive lineman. So he's learning on the fly, but he's got a great natural ability to do that at a really high level.
Okay, right side, Ryan Chapman.
We talked to Jalen Redmond yesterday, and he said it was pretty tough for him battling through that concussion. What did you kind of see from him on the practice field after he got back to play catch-up, and then what you saw Saturday?
I didn't see a guy that was feeling bad for himself, or because he wasn't running out there with the ones. And so I was glad to see that he wasn't had a pouty face. He came and worked and tried to get himself in the kind of shape he needed to be so he could compete to his ability. And super low maintenance and work. That's what I saw, and got his opportunities. And then we talk about that a lot. Like, some guys moan and groan about whatever opportunities they're not getting instead of focusing on being great in the opportunities they do get. And he chose to have the right mindset, like a Gavin Freeman, like a Damon Harmon. These guys that are whatever role. I think Damon was, give or take, 16 special teams plays and 17 defensive plays. Man, he kicked butt, so he's going to get a better role. He's created value for himself and more opportunity. Jalen, certainly, we know what he's capable of if he's healthy, and he's had a good amount of time to work. But he got in and did some really good things. He's disruptive and can rush the passer, and he's learned how to play better against the run. He's done a nice job.
Okay, 2 more. Curtis Fitzpatrick.
Brent, you mentioned Gavin. Was he one of those guys that you had to dig a little deeper, look under the mattress for when you're bringing him on as a preferred walk-on?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's a guy that you didn't have to watch long watching his high school tape. He's pretty impressive. And then, Matt Wells had actually had him committed at Texas Tech as a scholarship player. So they had him at camp and did really, really well. And then, of course, I think he committed maybe a Tuesday, and then maybe a week to 10 days later, he was let go. So the next staff, I don't think, recruited him. And so he was a quote-unquote free agent. But, man, did we get a great one. A great kid, man. Just he shows up with the right mindset, attitude, same guy every day. And, again, like I've used the phrase wide open. He practices and competes at a very high level.
How soon after you saw him in person here did you think he could make it?
Well, I started asking, I said, what do we got involved with? Like, I know we got some slots over there. Where's this guy kind of fit in? And then I started pecking away with DeMarco because he can return punts. He's super sure of himself, and really catches the ball with ease as a punt returner. And he's a lot like you see Billy Bowman when he's like, just twitchy, man. It's like, it's like, ooh, like when you saw Barnes get that first handoff, you're like, whoa, we were all on the sideline, all of us, the players, like, whoa, And I don't want you to use this phrase, but, not the same guy exactly, in different styles, but when Adrian would run by you was like, whoa, the earth would shake. And you're like, son. And but you had the same, when you watched Gavin compete, it was he's super sudden and explosive. He's a legit 4.5 guy, and then he plays at that level. You get some guys that run 4.5, they don't play, they run 4.8. Like they stuck in the mud pulling a concrete truck. So he's a guy that will create more opportunity for him and got a great future in front of him. And I told DeMarco, don't ever be afraid. The guy shows that he can do it, man. Don't. Oh, he's a freshman, so what? He'll probably surprise you, Put him in there. What's the worst thing that can happen? Muff the punt, they get the ball, we'll stop them. Kick a field goal, let's go. I want to empower our coaches not to be afraid, and because sometimes you can coach that into a guy too. They'll feel that lack of confidence that you have in them. The most powerful words you can say to a guy or make them feel is, I believe in you. And so you do that by your actions too as a coach. You have that type of power as a coach. So Gavin's got a great future in front of him, and we're excited to have him.
Last one, left side, Austin Curry.
Hey, Brent, we've heard over the weeks about mental Mondays. Drake last night obviously talked about turnovers being focused on Tuesdays. I guess, are there names for other days in the week? And then what was your inspiration behind doing that, and how does that help?
Yeah, I'll be honest. All three head coaches I've worked for have had a mindset of helping guys have a daily focus, and starting with Coach Snyder. So I just think, again, young people, generally speaking, have a hard time staying focused from, 1 week to the next, certainly one day to the next. And so helping our guys, kind of zoom in, have a narrow focus on what today's all about and the work that needs to be done. And so, putting a name on it helps the guys lock in. They'll be using that for the rest of their lives. That's what I know. And that's just how a locker room works and how a team works. So that'll help them in every part of their life. But just being a little more intentional, a little more focused on what, the day of the week it is. Because you only get, everybody in the country get 20 hours a day. Or 20 hours a week rather, and you got to make the most of your week. So being efficient and focused and intentional so that you can have a chance to improve and be prepared and ready to play is what it's all about. And I love it because everybody in the country is on the same clock. And so our job is to, again, be organized, be detailed, be thoughtful of the demands of the players. And also there's a competitive side that says, how can I inspire my guys to do a little more with the same amount of time? How can we motivate them and challenge them? You can't make somebody do what they don't want to do, and you can't want it more than the player wants it for himself. If you have that relationship, it's going to be very dysfunctional. And, they got to want their success more than the coach could ever want it. And so, helping them focus, helping them buy in because of that, and, stay in their lane, stay out of the gutter. So they can hit the target. So what's the target this week? You don't know?
I got a few quizzes, actually.
All right. Well, the target for us is to beat Kent State. And so what's it going to take? How do we, we're not worried about, Lincoln or the Wildcats or, Fort Worth or Dallas. We're focused on Kent State. And so, how can we get them to focus on doing all the little things better than everybody else? So it's what it's about.
Thanks.
Is that good? All right. Y'all have a great day, great week.